That story Father told us yesterday was amazing. Didn't you think so?
Which one? The story of Elijah the prophet?
Yeah. Hey, by the way, isn't Father going to tell us the story of another prophet today?
Yes. He told us he'll tell us the story of Prophet Amos today.
Yes, Amos. I hope this story is going to be another great one.
Come on, let's go to our class.
It's story time. Yay! Come on, Matthew. The class is about to start.
I'm coming.
Good evening, kids. So, are you all ready for today's story?
Yes, Father.
All right. So, like I told you yesterday, I'm going to tell you the story of Amos today. During the rule of Jeroboam II, Israel reached the peak of its glory. However, the prosperity was enjoyed only by the rich. The lives of vast majority of the poor were in misery. Heavy taxes and unfair interest on loans forced the poor to slavery. They were auctioned like animals in the slave market. The courts failed to execute justice, and not even the religious system was helpful to the poor.
The Lord is my shepherd, nothing indeed shall I want. Though I pass through the valley of death.
Huh? Huh? Ah! It's dead. The Lord is with me, I fear no harm. The Lord is with me, I fear no harm. Whew. It's so hot today.
Amos! Amos!
Huh? Who's that?
Amos, it's me, Eliphaz.
Eliphaz, my friend.
Hi, Amos.
Eliphaz, good to see you. I heard you're doing well with your business.
I'm doing all right.
Where are you coming from?
We are coming from India. We bought some ivory and precious stones from India.
Ivory? May I see that?
I'm sorry. We sold all of them at Samaria. We stopped there on our way back and sold everything.
Those people in Samaria bought everything we had at the price we named.
They must be very rich in Samaria.
Certainly they are. Those Samaritans, they don't know what to do with their wealth.
And the women? Oh, their women are loaded with gold.
Wow, they must be really rich. What? Who are they? Why are they tied in chains?
Who? Oh, them. They are the slaves we bought from Samaria.
Slaves?
Yes, we bought them for a very cheap price from Samaria.
And we are going to sell them in Egypt. We will get a good price for them.
Slaves? But how could they? God gave freedom to everyone. You, what's your name?
Huh? Me?
Yes, you. Tell me your name.
My name is Zerah. And she's my wife, Miriam.
Zerah, how did you and your wife end up like this? Tell me, what happened?
We are farmers from Jezreel, we are doing fine until last year when the crops failed.
So?
We couldn't pay the taxes, so borrowed some money from the landlord. But the next year, when we went to return the money, the landlord cheated us by saying that we had to pay double the amount in interest alone.
Huh? How can the rich cheat poor farmers like that?
That's not it, sir. They cheated people with the weights and measures also.
What?
Yes, sir. We had to give everything we had, but even that wasn't enough.
They took our lands too.
And then they took us to the slave market and we were sold to them.
We don't know what happened to our children. We don't know where they are.
But how could someone do that to you?
It's not just us, sir. Everybody here will have similar stories to tell you.
I'm so sorry to hear that. Wait here. I will go and talk to your master.
Amos, what are you doing there?
I was talking to them.
Talking to the slaves, huh?
Eliphaz, listen, my friend. Is it necessary that you sell them only in Egypt?
We will sell them to anybody who can pay.
Look, I have some gold and silver, and I also have these sheep and cattle. Can you take those and sell those people?
Huh? So you are now interested in slave trading, huh?
Slaves? They are my brothers.
All right, calm down. I'll sell them to you. 2 slaves for a cattle and 1 slave for a sheep. Is it a deal?
It's a deal. I'll buy all of them.
Here you are. Here, take these chains.
No, I don't want the chains. I only want the people.
Huh? But we won't be responsible if they run off.
Don't worry. I'll take care of it.
Master, we don't know who you are, but we will always be grateful to you.
What do you want us to do, Master?
No, don't call me that. I'm not your master. I'm an Israelite just like you. I am your brother.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Stand up. Listen, everybody. You are no longer a slave to everybody. You are free to go anywhere. I will give you my land for yours to work. You can take that for free.
You are truly a great man.
Amos freed the slaves he bought, and he gave them his land. That night,
How could they sell their own brothers as slaves?
Amos.
huh? Who was that?
Amos.
God? It's you?
Amos, what do you see?
A plumb line?
I have measured my people, Israel, with a plumb line.
Huh?
They are not upright, so I'm going to knock them down.
What shall I do?
Go to Israel. I will instruct you there.
The voice of God reached Amos like a roaring lion. Amos left for Israel the next day as God had instructed, but the sights that he saw on his way made him really angry.
Help! Help! Shut up! Shut up, you poor little...
Stop! Stop it! What are you doing to him?
Huh? Who are you?
Mind your own business. He didn't pay his debts, so we are taking him as a slave.
Lord, please help me!
Amos could do nothing to help. so he walked away sadly. But he saw many other similar situations on his way to Israel. "Stop it! Stop beating him!"
Oh, no! Please! No!
Then why don't you pay his debts?
Huh?
You give me the money he owes me and I'll let him go. Do you have the money?
I don't have the money.
Then go away, you fool! Don't waste my time.
What is happening here?
Pour more. This is only 20 liters. Huh? But how could that be? I had brought 40 liters.
Stop lying and bring me more oil.
I think there's been a mistake. This scale is wrong. You are cheating me.
How dare you? Take this.
Ah!
Is this the way you collect your debts?
Who are you? Get out of here.
Do you have different scales for measure?
No, we use only one measure.
Ha! Huh? Then what are these? Cheating with the scales?
There are soldiers here too.
No, you won't escape from the Lord with the help of your army.
Huh?
Go in peace, my friend. The God of Israel is with you. Excuse me, where are you all going?
Oh, you didn't know? They have built a large temple in Bethel. And I've heard that the idol there, the golden calf, is really beautiful.
Then why those animals?
Oh, these are the sacrifices for the god.
Can you please tell me how many slaves you have?
I have around 150 of them.
And I have around 200 slaves.
You crush the poor, take their belongings, and now you're offering sacrifice to please God?
What? No, look.
Offering to God what is snatched from the poor is like killing a son before his father.
Excuse me. I have been listening to your discussion. So, are you saying that we shouldn't offer sacrifices to the Lord?
Your hands are stained with human blood. God will not be pleased with your sacrifices.
If you understand this one concept, you can make a full-time income from home. And if you don't believe me, that's completely fine. You shouldn't when a guy screams at you on YouTube.
Hey, George. Hey,
What?
I think you have got one.
Huh?
Pull the rod when I say.
Pull the rod, pull it.
Woohoo! Look at that! Look at the fish I've caught! Yeah!
Wow, George, that's a big one.
This is so big. Father, in the class yesterday, you told us that Hosea experienced the pain of loving as God did. Why did you say that?
That's because... Hey, do you want to hear the story of Hosea as we walk back home?
Everyone had been waiting for Jesus, and when he came back, a crowd was there to welcome him. Just then, the man in charge of the Jewish meeting place came and knelt down in front of Jesus. His name was Jairus, and he begged Jesus to come to his home because his 12-year-old child was dying. She was his only daughter. While Jesus was speaking, someone came from Jairus' home and said, "Your daughter has died. Why bother the teacher anymore?" When Jesus heard this, he told Jairus, "Don't worry, have faith, and your daughter will get well." Jesus went into the house, but he did not let anyone else go with him, except Peter, John, James, and the girl's father and mother. Everyone was crying and weeping for the girl, but Jesus said, "The child isn't dead. She is just asleep." The people laughed at him because they knew she was dead. Jesus took hold of the girl's hand and said, "Child, get up." She came back to life and got right up. Jesus told them to give her something to eat. Her parents were surprised, but Jesus ordered them not to tell anyone what had happened.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us and not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. Jesus Christ the Lord. Amen. My name is Bubbly. I will teach you a story from the Bible. Stay with me. Today's story about Jonah. One day, God told a man named Jonah to travel to the city of Nineveh. They no longer followed and obeyed God's commandments. God wanted Jonah to instruct the people of Nineveh to repent and change.
This is the land that God promised me and my family forever. Why hasn't God granted me land of my own? Listen, when my brother Huran died, I took you into my family. Sarai and I raised you as if you were our own son. I know, but there's no but. You are my family, and you share in this blessing that God has given me. Abraham's flock is always driven at the front, and they get the best grass.
I know.
Abraham's getting old.
And look at his wife. So vain and beautiful, yet she can't have any children.
Yeah.
I think it's time for you to take your rightful place and show him that you are his equal.
I will, dear. Tomorrow I will ask my shepherds to take my flock ahead of Abraham.
Yes, you have as much as rights to this land.
Story number 1. The Creation. This is how the beginning of everything happened. God created the universe and everything in it in 6 days. After God created the earth, it was dark and empty, and nothing had been formed in it. But God's Spirit was there over the water. Then God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. God saw that the light was good, and called it day. He separated it from the darkness, which he called night. God created the light on the first day of creation. On the second day of creation, God spoke and created the sky above the earth. He made the sky by separating the water above from the water below. On the third day, God spoke and separated the water from the dry land. He called the dry land earth, and he called the water seas. God saw that what he had created was good. Then God said, "Let the earth produce all kinds of trees and plants." And that is what happened. God saw that what he had created was good. On the fourth day of creation, God spoke and made the sun, the moon, and the stars. God made them to give light to the earth, and to mark day and night, seasons and years. God saw that what he had created was good. On the fifth day, God spoke and made everything that swims in the water and all the birds. God saw that it was good, and he blessed them. On the sixth day of creation, God said, "Let there be all kinds of land animals." And it happened, just like God said. Some were farm animals, some crawled on the ground, and some were wild. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let us make human beings in our image, to be like us. They will have authority over the earth and all the animals." So God took some dirt, formed it into a man, and breathed life into him. This man's name was Adam. God planted a garden where Adam could live and put him there to care for it. In the middle of the garden, God planted two special trees, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God told Adam that he could eat from any tree in the garden except from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. If he ate from this tree, he would die. Then God said, "It is not good for man to be alone," but none of the animals could be Adam's helper. So God made Adam fall into a deep sleep. Then God took one of Adam's ribs and made it into a woman and brought her to him. When Adam saw her, he said, "At last, this one is like me. Let her be called woman, for she was made from man." This is why a man leaves his father and mother and becomes one with his wife. God made man and woman in his own image. He blessed them and told them, "Have many children and grandchildren, and fill the earth." And God saw that everything he had made was very good, and he was very pleased with all of it. This all happened on the sixth day of creation. When the seventh day came, God had finished his work. So God rested from all he had been doing. He blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on this day he rested from his work. This is how God created the universe and everything in it. Story number 2. Sin enters the world. Adam and his wife were very happy living in the beautiful garden God had made for them. Neither of them wore clothes, but this did not cause them to feel any shame, because there was no sin in the world. They often walked in the garden and talked with God. But there was a crafty snake in the garden. He asked the woman, "Did God really tell you not to eat the fruit from any of the trees in the garden?" The woman answered, "God told us we could eat the fruit of any tree except from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God told us, if you eat that fruit, or even touch it, you will die." The snake responded to the woman, "That is not true. You will not die. God just knows that as soon as you eat it, you will be like God and will understand good and evil, like He does." The woman saw that the fruit was beautiful and looked delicious. She also wanted to be wise, so she picked some of the fruit and ate it. Then she gave some to her husband, who was with her, and he ate it too. Suddenly, their eyes were opened, and they realized they were naked. They tried to cover their bodies by sewing leaves together to make clothes. Then the man and his wife heard the sound of God walking through the garden. They both hid from God. Then God called to the man, "Where are you?" Adam replied, "I heard you walking in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, so I hid." Then God asked, "Who told you that you were naked? "Did you eat the fruit I told you not to eat?" The man answered, "You gave me this woman, and she gave me the fruit." Then God asked the woman, "What have you done?" The woman replied, "The snake tricked me." God said to the snake, "You are cursed. You will slide on your belly and eat dirt. You and the woman will hate each other, and your children and her children will hate each other too. The woman's descendant will crush your head, and you will wound his heel." God then said to the woman, "I will make childbirth very painful for you. You will desire your husband, and he will rule over you." God said to the man, "You listened to your wife and disobeyed me. Now the ground is cursed, and you will need to work hard to grow food. Then you will die, and your body will return to dirt." The man named his wife Eve, which means life-giver, because she would become the mother of all people. And God clothed Adam and Eve with animal skins. Then God said, "Now that the human beings have become like us by knowing good and evil, they must not be allowed to eat the fruit of the tree of life and live forever." So God sent Adam and Eve away from the beautiful garden. God placed powerful angels at the entrance to the garden to keep anyone from eating the fruit of the tree of life. Story number 3, The Flood. After a long time, many people were living in the world. They had become very wicked and violent. It became so bad that God decided to destroy the whole world with a huge flood. But Noah found favor with God. He was a righteous man living among wicked people. God told Noah about the flood he was planning to send. He told Noah to build a huge boat. God told Noah to make the boat about 140 meters long, 23 meters wide, and 13.5 meters high. Noah was to build it with wood and to make 3 levels, many rooms, a roof, and a window. The boat would keep Noah, his family, and every kind of land animal safe during the flood. Noah obeyed God. He and his 3 sons built the boat just the way God had told them. It took many years to build the boat because it was so big. Noah warned the people about the flood that was coming and told them to turn to God, but they did not believe him. God also commanded Noah and his family to gather enough food for themselves and the animals. When everything was ready, God told Noah it was time for him, his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives to get into the boat, 8 people in all. God sent a male and a female of every animal and bird to Noah, so they could go into the boat and be kept safe during the flood. God sent 7 males and 7 females of every type of animal that could be used for sacrifices. When they were all in the boat, God himself closed the door. Then it began to rain, and rain, and rain. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights without stopping. Water also came gushing up out of the earth. Everything in the whole world was covered with water, even the highest mountains. Everything that lived on the dry land died, except the people and animals that were in the boat. The boat floated on the water and kept everything inside the boat safe from drowning. After the rains stopped, the boat floated on the water for 5 months, and during this time the water started going down. Then one day the boat rested on the top of a mountain, but the world was still covered with water. After 3 more months, the tops of the mountains were visible. After 40 more days, Noah sent out a bird called a raven to see if the water had dried up. The raven flew back and forth, looking for dry land, but it could not find any. Later, Noah sent out a bird called a dove, but it also could not find any dry land, so it came back to Noah. A week later, he sent the dove out again, and it came back with an olive branch in its beak. The water was going down, and the plants were growing again. Noah waited another week and sent out the dove a third time. This time it found a place to rest and did not come back. The water was drying up. 2 months later, God said to Noah, "You and your family and all the animals may leave the boat now. Have many children and grandchildren and fill the earth." So Noah and his family came out of the boat. After Noah got off the boat, he built an altar and sacrificed some of each kind of animal that could be used for a sacrifice. God was happy with the sacrifice and blessed Noah and his family. God said, "I promise I will never again curse the ground because of the evil things that people do, or destroy the world by causing a flood, even though people are sinful from the time they are children." God then made the first rainbow as a sign of his promise. Every time the rainbow appeared in the sky, God would remember what he promised, and so would his people. Story number 4. God's covenant with Abraham. Many years after the flood, there were again many people in the world, and they all spoke the same language. Instead of filling the earth as God had commanded, they gathered together and built a city. They were very proud, and they did not care about what God said. They even began building a tall tower to reach heaven. God saw that if they all kept working together to do evil, they could do many more sinful things. So God changed their language into many different languages and spread the people out all over the world. The city they had begun to build was called Babel, which means confused. Hundreds of years later, God spoke to a man named Abram. God told him, "Leave your country and family and go to the land I will show you. I will bless you and make you a great nation. I will make your name great. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. All families on earth will be blessed because of you." So Abram obeyed God. He took his wife Sarai, together with all of his servants and everything he owned, and went to the land God showed him, the land of Canaan. When Abram arrived in Canaan, God said, "Look all around you. I will give to you and your descendants all the land that you can see as an inheritance." Then Abram settled in the land. One day Abram met Melchizedek, the priest of God Most High. Melchizedek blessed Abram and said, "May God Most High, who owns heaven and earth, bless Abram." Then Abram gave Melchizedek 1/10 of all he owned. Many years went by, but Abram and Sarai still did not have a son. God spoke to Abram and promised again that he would have a son and as many descendants as the stars in the sky. Abram believed God's promise. God declared that Abram was righteous because he believed in God's promise. Then God made a covenant with Abram. A covenant is an agreement between two parties. God said, "I will give you a son from your own body. I give the land of Canaan to your descendants." But Abram still did not have a son. Story number 27. The story of the Good Samaritan. One day, an expert in the Jewish law came to Jesus to test him, saying, "Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus answered, "What is written in God's law?" The law expert replied that God's law says, Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus answered, You are correct. Do this, and you will live. But the law expert wanted to prove that he was righteous, so he asked, Who is my neighbor? Jesus answered the law expert by telling a story. There was a Jewish man who was traveling along the road from Jerusalem to Jericho. While the man was traveling, he was attacked by a group of robbers. They took everything he had and beat him until he was almost dead. Then they went away. Soon after that, a Jewish priest happened to walk down that same road. When this religious leader saw the man who had been robbed and beaten, he moved to the other side of the road, ignored the man who needed help, and kept on going. Not long after that, a Levite came down the road. Levites were a tribe of Jews who helped the priests at the temple. The Levite also crossed over to the other side of the road and ignored the man who had been robbed and beaten. The next person to walk down that road was a Samaritan. Samaritans were the descendants of Jews who had married people from other nations. Samaritans and Jews hated each other. But when the Samaritan saw the Jewish man, he felt very strong compassion for him. So he cared for him and bandaged his wounds. The Samaritan then lifted the man onto his own donkey and took him to a roadside inn where he took care of him. The next day, the Samaritan needed to continue his journey. He gave some money to the person in charge of the inn and said, Take care of him, and if you spend any more money than this, I will repay those expenses when I return. Then Jesus asked the law expert, What do you think? Which one of the three men was a neighbor to the man who was robbed and beaten? He replied, The one who was merciful to him. Jesus told him, You go and do the same. Story number 5. The Son of Promise. 10 years after Abram and Sarai arrived in Canaan, they still did not have a child. So Abram's wife Sarai said to him, Since God has not allowed me to have children, and now I am too old to have children, here is my servant Hagar. Marry her also, so she can have a child for me. So Abram married Hagar. Hagar had a baby boy, and Abram named him Ishmael. But Sarai became jealous of Hagar. When Ishmael was 13 years old, God again spoke to Abram. God said, I am God Almighty. I will make a covenant with you. Then Abram bowed to the ground. God also told Abram, You will be the father of many nations. I will give you and your descendants the land of Canaan as their possession, and I will be their God forever. You must circumcise every male in your family. Your wife Sarai will have a son. He will be the son of promise. Name him Isaac. I will make my covenant with him, and he will become a great nation. I will make Ishmael a great nation too, but my covenant will be with Isaac. Then God changed Abram's name to Abraham, which means father of many. God also changed Sarai's name to Sarah, which means princess. That day, Abraham circumcised all the males in his household. About a year later, when Abraham was 100 years old and Sarah was 90, Sarah gave birth to Abraham's son. They named him Isaac, as God had told them to do. When Isaac was a young man, God tested Abraham's faith by saying, Take Isaac, your only son, and kill him as a sacrifice to me. Again, Abraham obeyed God and prepared to sacrifice his son. As Abraham and Isaac walked to the place of sacrifice, Isaac asked, Father, we have wood for the sacrifice, but where is the lamb? Abraham replied, God will provide the lamb for the sacrifice, my son. When they reached the place of sacrifice, Abraham tied up his son Isaac and laid him on an altar. He was about to kill his son when God said, "Stop. Do not hurt the boy. Now I know that you fear me because you did not keep your only son from me." Nearby, Abraham saw a ram that was stuck in a bush. God had provided the ram to be the sacrifice instead of Isaac. Abraham happily offered the ram as a sacrifice. Then God said to Abraham, "Because you were willing to give me everything, even your only son, I promise to bless you. Your descendants will be more than the stars in the sky. Because you have obeyed me, all the families of the world will be blessed through your family." Story number 6. God provides for Isaac. When Abraham was very old, his son Isaac had grown to be a man. So Abraham sent one of his servants back to the land where his relatives lived to bring back a wife for his son Isaac. After a very long journey to the land where Abraham's relatives lived, God led the servant to Rebekah. She was the granddaughter of Abraham's brother. Rebekah agreed to leave her family and go back with the servant to Isaac's home. Isaac married her as soon as she arrived. After a long time, Abraham died, and all of the promises that God had made to him in the covenant were passed on to Isaac. God had promised that Abraham would have countless descendants, but Isaac's wife Rebekah could not have children. Isaac prayed for Rebekah, and God allowed her to get pregnant with twins. The two babies struggled with each other while they were still in Rebekah's womb. So Rebekah asked God what was happening. God told Rebekah, "Two nations will come from the two sons inside of you. They will struggle with each other, and the older son will serve the younger one." When Rebekah's babies were born, the older son came out red and hairy, and they named him Esau. Then the younger son came out holding on to Esau's heel, and they named him Jacob.
That day when evening came, he said to his disciples, "Let us go over to the other side." Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along just as he was, in the boat. There were also other boats with him. A furious squall came up, and the waves broke over the boat so that it was nearly swamped. Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said to him, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" He got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." Then the wind died down, and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" They were terrified and asked each other, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him."
The financial year is ending, so to keep the accountant happy, PBTech's having a massive sale this Friday and Saturday for 2 days only. Save on over 10,000 products for home and business, including laptops and PCs, networking, smartphones, PC parts and peripherals, gaming, TV and audio, cameras and drones, and so much more. The PBTech End of Financial Year Sale. 11 superstores nationwide and online at pbtech.co.nz. See pbtech.co.nz for all the details.
Now I'm going to ask you to do something for me. Do you think you can focus?
I think I can focus.
All right, close your eyes. I want you to focus on all the new technology. Stay focused with the split view camera, rotary gear shift dial mated to an 8-speed transmission. I want you to focus on the sexy, sleek new design. Stay focused on safety, lane departure warning, LED daytime running lights, and pedestrian detection. And finally, I want you to focus on a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty and a starting price of $31,990.
I can focus.
And you can focus too on the all-new Ford Focus, available now from John Andrew Ford, corner Great North Road and Newton.
When God created the world and everything in it, He made man in His own image to live here and take care of the world. However, humans started doing evil things and stopped following His commands. They did not pray to Him, and they only cared for their own comfort. God decided to destroy the earth and everybody in it. There was only one man who loved God, Noah. Noah loved and worshipped God. He believed in God even though nobody else did. He also taught his family to love and fear God. One day, God spoke to Noah.
Noah, you are a good man. You are righteous and you live a good life with your family. But the world has become evil and all the people in the world deserve to die.
Noah was shocked at what he heard, but he remained calm. But God, these are your people. Have mercy on them.
No, Noah. The world has to be destroyed. I will send a great flood that will destroy the whole of earth. It will rain without end for 40 days. Every living being on earth will be destroyed.
So be it. Let your will be done.
Fear not, Noah. I have come to warn you because you have been a good man. You and your family will survive the flood.
You are merciful, my God.
You will have to build an ark for you and your family.
What is an ark, my lord?
An ark is a big wooden boat. You will build this ark to protect your family from the flood. The ark should be big enough for your family. You will also be taking many animals along with you so that they can survive too.
But God, I have no knowledge about building arks. How will I do this?
Do not worry. I will give you all the instructions you need. Just follow them, and you will be able to build it without any problem.
Okay, my lord. I will follow your instructions and do as you say.
You must also talk to the people around you and try to convince them to mend their ways. Tell them to turn to me, pray to me, and fear me. Tell them to be kind and do good things. Tell them to stop being selfish and live a good life.
I will do as you say, my lord. And as God instructed, Noah started to cut down trees. He made big planks out of the wood to build his ark. People started noticing what Noah was doing. They gathered around him as he shaped his planks and piled them up. They were curious.
Noah, what are you doing?
Hello, friend. I am building an ark.
What is an ark?
It is a big boat, my friend. It will protect me and my family from the flood.
What flood?
My dear friend, God, our Creator, spoke to me. He said that He is angry with the people, and He is going to destroy all living beings with a flood.
My dear Noah, we don't understand. Where is this flood coming from?
God will send heavy rains. It will rain non-stop for 40 days, and a flood will come and wipe out everything. You can stop this. God is angry with your ways. You only have to turn to Him and mend your ways. Pray to Him. Ask Him for forgiveness, and you will be saved. You can come with me on my ark. You will be saved from the flood.
Noah, have you gone mad? You do not make any sense. Why are you doing all this? Stop building this nonsense ark and look after your family.
Sorry, my friend, this is my work. God has asked me to do this. I have to obey Him. I will build this ark as He has told me. The villagers laughed loudly and returned to their homes. By now, Noah had gathered all the food grains, the seeds, and the animals. He stored the food grains in the ark. God then made the animals arrive in pairs. Every animal and bird on the earth waited in line patiently to enter the ark. There were lions, tigers, elephants, snakes, parrots, zebras, everyone. 2 by 2, they entered the ark. Then Noah called to the villagers and once again invited them to enter his ark. The people still refused to believe in him. They could not understand why he was collecting animals and placing them in the ark. They continued to sin against God, and they refused to enter.
You said it would rain for 40 days, Noah. I don't even see a drip of rain anywhere. Do you still think that you're making any sense? Do you really think that this God is going to save you? You have been making a fool of yourself and trying to make us all fools as well.
I believe in my Lord. He will never abandon me. He has always guided me to do what is right. I am still inviting you to join me in the ark. You will be saved.
We are not coming into your stupid ark. You can do as you please. Just leave us alone now.
Once Noah had completed filling up his ark with the animals, God told Noah to assemble his family and bring them into the ark. Once they had entered the ark, the door was closed and the ark was sealed shut. As soon as the ark was sealed, the first drops of rain began to fall on earth. The villagers were amazed, as there had not been any rains for a very long time. Soon it was raining heavily, and big thunderclouds gathered all around the village. It continued to rain for days, and soon the water was flooding the village. The ark then began to float over the water. People in the village were running for shelter as their homes had been swept away by the flood. Meanwhile, Noah, his family, and the animals he had brought with him were safe and warm in the ark. It rained heavily for 40 days, and in the end there was nothing but water all around. All living beings were drowned, and even the highest mountains were covered by the flood. Noah looked out of the window of his ark and could see nothing but water.
Skip this video if you're not interested in awesome tracking technology for your vehicles or fleet. Tiny devices
Hello, Matthew.
Good morning, Father.
Why are you sitting here alone? Where is Lucy and George?
Lucy is there. And George is over there.
What happened? Why aren't you guys playing together?
Lucy and George had a fight, and they are not talking to each other.
Is that so? And why did they fight with each other?
We were playing hide and seek, and Lucy is saying that George cheated.
Now go and tell them that I want to talk to them.
I will tell them, Father. Lucy, Lucy! Lucy.
Go away, Matthew. I don't want to talk to anybody.
Lucy, Father John is here and he's calling you.
I'm coming.
All right, you go ahead. I have to call George also. George, Father John is calling you.
Let's go then.
Hey there, good morning. Why are you silent? Aren't you going to wish me back?
Good morning. This George,
No, don't tell me the reason, Lucy.
She's lying, Father. It was she.
Stop it, George. Now listen, whatever the reasons might be, I want you both to forgive each other and say that you were sorry.
But Father...
Lucy...
I'm sorry, George. I shouldn't have fought with you.
I'm sorry too. You're my best friend, Lucy, and I'll never repeat this.
See, wasn't that easy?
Thank you, Father.
Now come on, let's sit here. Today, I'm going to tell you the story of Ruth, a Moabite woman. She was an excellent example of how one should trust God. Her selfless love and total dedication to her mother-in-law is depicted as an example for all generations.
Wow! Tell us a story, Father.
All right, now listen carefully. Long time back, in a place called Moab, there lived a woman named Naomi. Her husband had died a long time back, and now recently, her 2 sons too died. She was now left with the wives of her sons, Orpah and Ruth.
There's no point of sitting here and crying. We can do nothing about it now. Ruth, you must listen to what I'm going to tell you.
What is it, Mother?
My daughters, you're still young. Go back to your people and marry again. You can have children of your own one day.
Mother, what are you saying?
No, Ruth. Stop. You must do what I say. I'm going back to Bethlehem, and you can't come with me.
But why can't I come to Bethlehem with you?
Because you're a Moabite woman, and in Israel, you'll always be a foreigner, my dear. Orpah, will you at least listen to me?
I will do whatever you wish me to do.
Thank you, dear. Thank you so much. Now, Ruth, please.
Mother, please don't insist. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you die, I will die. Your people shall be my people, and your God will be my God.
Oh dear.